You are hearing this now because you were meant to. This is not coincidence, not chance, not an accident of algorithms. This moment is a signal, a reminder, a frequency entering your field at precisely the right time. Because what I am about to share with you will alter everything you thought you knew about reality. Tesla once said that if you want to know the secrets of the universe, you must think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. He wasn't speaking in metaphor. He was speaking in truth. Everything around you, every event, every person, every thought in your mind, every cell in your body is vibrating. And the frequency you carry is the code that writes your story. Change the frequency, and the entire story of your life changes with it. This is the secret most people never realize. Your circumstances are not random. Your struggles are not permanent. Your failures are not destiny. They are reflections, mirrors of the frequency you have been tuned into without knowing. Most people live their entire lives unaware that the dial is in their hands. They complain about the music, not realizing they can change the station. They suffer in static, not realizing the melody of their desired reality has always been playing. What I'm about to show you is the hidden switch, the frequency secret that rewrites everything. Your health, your wealth, your love, your purpose. Because when you shift the signal you emit, the field around you has no choice but to shift with it. The universe is not ignoring you. It is responding to you, always. And the language it understands is frequency. Think of your life as a broadcast. Right now you are transmitting. Your emotions are signals, your thoughts are waves, your beliefs are frequencies. They travel into the field, and the field echoes them back as experiences, opportunities, relationships. If you have been transmitting fear, the echo has been struggle. If you have been transmitting doubt, the echo has been disappointment. If you have been transmitting lack, the echo has been scarcity. But the moment you flip the frequency, the moment you change the signal, the field reorganizes itself. Suddenly doors appear where there were only walls. Suddenly synchronicities align where there was only chaos. Suddenly your reality feels rewritten, not because the universe finally decided to bless you, but because you finally decided to change the frequency you were broadcasting all along. And here is the paradox. You do not wait for life to change before you change the frequency. You change the frequency first, and life has no choice but to change in response. Most people do it backwards. They wait for more money before they feel abundant. They wait for love before they feel worthy. They wait for proof before they believe. And so they wait forever. Because the field does not respond to waiting, it responds to frequency. When you begin to embody gratitude, even before the evidence, abundance arrives. When you begin to radiate love, even before the relationship connection appears. When you begin to live in trust, even before the outcome, miracles unfold. The signal is the cause. The reality is the effect. The frequency is the seed. The life you live is the harvest. So ask yourself now, what frequency have you been broadcasting? What story has been playing on repeat because you never realized you were tuned to the wrong station? And what would happen if right here, right now, you shifted, not tomorrow, not someday, now? Because the moment you shift, reality rewrites itself. You see, reality has never been fixed. It only seems solid because you kept tuning into the same station. Every fear, every doubt, every disappointment repeated because the dial of your consciousness stayed locked on the old frequency. But the moment you shift, the music changes, and the entire stage of your life rearranges to match it. This is why some people seem to live charmed lives. They are not luckier than you. They are not chosen by fate. They are simply broadcasting on a different frequency. While the masses transmit fear, they transmit faith. While most send signals of lack, they radiate abundance. And the field, which never judges, simply echoes back the vibration it receives. Think of the times in your own life when you accidentally tuned into a higher state. A day when you woke up grateful for no reason and everything seemed to go right. A time when you felt deep love and suddenly the world reflected it back to you. A moment when you believed without doubt and doors opened effortlessly. Those were not accidents. They were glimpses of the truth. The frequency you carry is the author of your experience. And here lies the greatest secret. You can choose the broadcast. You do not need to wait for evidence. You do not need to wait for permission. You do not need to wait for circumstances to change. You can flip the dial now, because the universe does not care about appearances. It responds to vibration. The moment you embody the frequency of the life you desire, the field reorganizes to deliver it. So many people misunderstand this. They say, when I have more money, I'll feel secure. When I meet the right person, I'll feel loved. When I achieve success, I'll feel worthy. But they have it backwards. Feeling secure now, even before the money, calls wealth into being. Radiating love now, even before the relationship magnetizes connection. Embodying worthiness now, even before success, unlocks achievement. The cause is always frequency. The effect is always reality. The paradox is simple. When you stop needing the proof arrives. When you stop waiting for the miracle unfolds. When you stop broadcasting lack can no longer echo back. And when you begin to live as though your desires are already here, they collapse into form with the inevitability of sunrise. This is not philosophy. This is physics. Every thought generates a measurable frequency. Every emotion produces a signal. Gratitude vibrates higher than fear. Love vibrates stronger than doubt. Joy radiates more powerfully than lack. And the field is listening, always, not to your words, not to your wishes, but to your frequency. So the question becomes, what are you willing to broadcast? Because the moment you decide, the story rewrites itself. Not tomorrow, not next year. The rewriting begins now. Imagine this. You wake tomorrow and choose to feel gratitude before anything happens. You choose to radiate love even before anyone affirms you. You choose to live as if abundance is already yours. At first, it may feel strange, like pretending. But the field does not care whether it feels natural. The field only cares about the signal. And as you hold that signal, even for moments, reality begins to rearrange. A phone call arrives. An opportunity appears. A stranger smiles. Synchronicities multiply. And you realize this is not coincidence. This is coherence. This is the universe echoing back the new broadcast you dared to send. And the more you hold it, the faster the rewriting becomes. At first, it may be subtle, small changes, little shifts, but soon the momentum builds, the frequency stabilizes, and life begins to move at quantum speed. What once took years collapses into days. What once seemed impossible unfolds effortlessly. What once felt like fantasy becomes your daily reality. Because the field does not play favorites. It does not reward effort or punish failure. It simply responds. And once you know this, once you take responsibility for the signal you broadcast, you hold the pen that writes your destiny. Take a breath and feel this truth. Your past does not matter. Your circumstances do not matter. Your history does not matter. Only your frequency matters. And in this moment, you can choose a new one. The frequency secret is not hidden anymore. It is here, vibrating in your awareness, waiting for you to activate it. So let me ask you again, what would happen if you shifted now? What would happen if you refused to broadcast fear and chose love instead? What would happen if you abandoned lack and embodied gratitude instead? What would happen if you stopped waiting for life to change and decided to change your frequency now? The answer is simple. Everything would change. Your health, your wealth, your relationships, your destiny. The field would have no choice but to rewrite the entire script of your life. This is not a story for the chosen few. This is not a secret reserved for mystics. This is the fundamental law of reality. And it is in your hands. The only question left is, will you flip the dial? Because the moment you do, the rewriting begins. And once it starts, nothing will ever be the same again. Money is one of the clearest mirrors of frequency. People think wealth is numbers in a bank account, but money is simply energy. It flows where it feels invited. It avoids where it feels resisted. When you broadcast lack, money runs. When you broadcast abundance, money is drawn to you. This is why some people seem to attract wealth effortlessly, while others struggle endlessly. The wealthy are not inherently smarter or better. They are simply tuned to the frequency of abundance, the vibration of receiving, the broadcast of overflow. Think about it. Every time you worry about money, you are broadcasting the signal of lack, and the field echoes it back with bills, delays, disappointments. Every time you feel gratitude for what you already have, even if it's small, you broadcast the frequency of abundance, and the field echoes back with opportunities, synchronicities, and unexpected income. The difference is not luck. So let me ask you again, what frequency are you ready to live in? Are you ready to stop broadcasting lack and start broadcasting abundance? Are you ready to stop radiating loneliness and start radiating love? Are you ready to stop transmitting fear and start transmitting vitality? Are you ready to stop seeking purpose and start embodying it? Because the moment you answer yes, the rewriting begins, and nothing will ever be the same again. There comes a point where the frequency shift is no longer a practice. It is no longer something you remind yourself to do, no longer something you try to maintain. It becomes who you are. The old broadcast fades, the old signal dissolves, and the new frequency becomes your baseline. You no longer wake up asking, "Will it work today?" You wake up already living in the frequency, already radiating coherence, already aligned with the story you have chosen. At first, this feels almost surreal. You catch yourself wondering how life became so effortless, how synchronicities appear so quickly, how opportunities seem to flow with such precision. But then you realize it was never luck. It was never chance. It was always frequency. The universe has always been this responsive. You are simply now tuned into the station that plays the life you've been longing for. And with this realization, your identity shifts. You stop identifying as someone who is trying to heal, trying to manifest, trying to change. You begin to identify as someone who already embodies it. someone who naturally attracts abundance, someone who effortlessly radiates love, someone who lives in vibrant health, someone who walks with unshakable purpose. The trying dissolves and the being takes over. The more you embody this, the more your world reorganizes. Relationships transform. Strangers feel lighter in your presence. Friends begin to shift simply by being around you. Money flows with less resistance. Opportunities appear without effort. Your body feels younger, stronger, more alive. And you realize that reality itself is not outside of you. It is inside of you, echoing back your signal with perfect fidelity. This is where the rewriting becomes irreversible. You no longer fear slipping back because there is nothing to slip back to. The old frequency no longer exists for you. The old story has dissolved. The old identity is gone. What remains is the new self, the coherent self, the self that is aligned with the truth of who you are. From this place, life becomes not just about personal transformation, but about contribution. You understand that your frequency is not only rewriting your own story, but influencing the field of humanity itself. Every time you choose love, the collective field grows more loving. Every time you choose gratitude, the collective field becomes more abundant. Every time you choose coherence, the collective field stabilizes. You are not only rewriting your life, you are rewriting the story of the world. And this is where your purpose deepens. You realize that your presence itself is service. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to force transformation on others. By embodying the frequency of wholeness, you become a lighthouse. Others feel it, others sense it, others awaken, not because you taught them, but because your signal reminded them of their own. This ripple effect is immeasurable. A single shift in your broadcast sends waves through the field that touch people you may never meet, influence situations you may never see, and awaken possibilities you may never know. But you can trust that it is happening because the field never wastes a signal. Every vibration matters. Every frequency counts. And yours is rewriting reality on a scale far greater than your personal life. Now imagine what happens when more and more people flip the dial. Imagine a world where abundance is the collective broadcast, where love is the baseline, where health is the norm, where purpose flows through everyone. That world is not a fantasy. It is already forming. Every shift you make strengthens it. Every choice you embody amplifies it. And the more of us who live in this truth, the faster the story of humanity rewrites itself into one of coherence, harmony, and freedom. So as you hear these words, let them sink deeper than your mind. Let them vibrate in your cells, in your bones, in your very essence. You are not waiting for the universe to change. The universe is waiting for you to broadcast the new frequency. And the moment you do, everything aligns. Take a breath now. Feel the energy moving through you. Feel the signal you are broadcasting in this moment. Feel the truth of what you are becoming, or rather, what you are remembering you always were. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not powerless. You are infinite frequency, infinite potential, infinite creation in motion. And as you step fully into this remembrance, your story rewrites itself in ways that will leave you breathless. The struggles that defined you dissolve. The limits that caged you collapse. The doubts that haunted you fade. And in their place rises a life beyond your imagination. A life that feels like destiny unfolding, a life that proves once and for all that frequency is the secret behind everything. Because the truth is simple. The field does not decide your story. You do. The pen has always been in your hands, and now you know how to write. Not with effort, not with force, but with frequency. So let go of the old broadcasts. Flip the dial, embody the new frequency, and watch as your entire life rewrites itself, line by line, chapter by chapter, until the story that unfolds is not one of survival, but one of thriving. Not one of fear, but one of love. Not one of limitation, but one of infinity. This is your moment. This is your threshold. This is the beginning of the rest of your story. The frequency secret is no longer hidden. It is alive in you, and the universe is listening, always. So breathe, broadcast, become. And remember, the story you live tomorrow is being written by the frequency you choose today. If these words resonated with you, it means your frequency is already shifting. Don't let the signal fade. Anchor it deeper. Right now, take a moment to type in the comments. I choose the new frequency. Declare it to the field and let the universe hear your choice. And if you want to keep living in this vibration, make sure you subscribe. Because every transmission here is a reminder, a recalibration, a frequency upgrade that will keep rewriting your story. Hit the like button if you felt the shift. Share this with someone who needs to remember their power. And above all, stay tuned, because the next transmission will take you even deeper into the frequency that changes everything. And now, imagine this with me. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, before your mind has had the chance to remind you of yesterday's story, before the weight of old memories pulls you back, before the echo of old frequencies tries to retune you. Imagine opening your eyes and choosing to broadcast something entirely new. Imagine saying with your first breath, "Today I broadcast abundance. Today I broadcast love. Today I broadcast vitality. Today I broadcast purpose." Do you realize what that means? It means you begin the day not as a prisoner of the past, but as the author of the present. It means that the signal you send out in the first moments sets the rhythm for everything that follows. And it means that life itself, the entire field of reality, begins to reorganize before your feet even touch the ground. This is not wishful thinking. This is resonance. Have you ever noticed how one instrument in a room can cause another to vibrate without being touched? Strike a tuning fork, and another tuning fork nearby will begin to hum in the same pitch. Why? Because of resonance. Because frequencies seek coherence. And the field around you works the same way. The moment you broadcast a signal, reality hums back in tune with it. But here's the danger. If you do not choose consciously, you broadcast unconsciously. If you do not set the dial, the old story sets it for you. And then you wonder why the same patterns repeat, why the same struggles return, why the same disappointments cycle through again and again. It is not punishment. It is repetition of frequency. And the only way to break the loop is to flip the broadcast. So let me ask you, how many years of your life have been written by default signals? How many moments of scarcity echoed back because you unconsciously broadcast lack? How many heartbreaks repeated because you transmitted unworthiness without knowing? How many health struggles returned because you carried stress and fear as your background music? And now feel into the opposite. What will happen when you flip it? What will your life look like when your unconscious broadcast is no longer static and fear, but gratitude and love? What will happen when the default hum of your being is no longer anxiety, but joy? What will reality echo back when the signal you send is abundance, not lack? Freedom, not fear. Vitality, not struggle. Because that reality is not far away. It is not hidden in some distant future. It is here now, waiting for you to shift. The field is infinite, and every possibility already exists. You are not creating from nothing. You are choosing from everything. And the choosing happens through frequency. Think about this carefully. Right now, in this very moment, there exists a version of you who is already living the life you desire. That version is not fantasy. It is frequency. That self already exists in the field. And the only difference between that self and your current self is the broadcast you are sending. Shift the broadcast and you collapse into that version. This is why sudden breakthroughs happen. This is why people say, it changed overnight. It didn't. The frequency had been building. The broadcast had been strengthening. And then, one moment, the signal crossed the threshold. The dial clicked into coherence, and the entire story collapsed into a new form. What looks sudden is simply the physics of frequency reaching critical mass, and you are closer to that threshold than you realize. Every moment you choose gratitude instead of complaint, you turn the dial. Every moment you choose love instead of fear, you amplify the new signal. Every moment you choose trust instead of doubt, you strengthen the broadcast. And soon the hum of the new frequency becomes stronger than the static of the old. That is when life rewrites itself, not line by line, but chapter by chapter, until you no longer recognize the story as the one you used to tell. Now let's go deeper, because the frequency secret does not only apply to the big things, money, love, health, purpose. It applies to the smallest moments. Every interaction, every thought, every choice. Reality is not written in blocks. It is written in frequencies that accumulate, and each one matters. Take an ordinary moment, standing in line at a store. Most people broadcast impatience, frustration, boredom. They complain about the delay. They radiate irritation. And what happens? The field echoes it back. More delays, more frustrations, more reasons to feel stuck. But imagine instead choosing to broadcast gratitude in that moment. Gratitude for the breath in your lungs. Gratitude for the time to pause. Gratitude for the abundance of being able to buy what you need. That small shift sends a different signal, and the echo may surprise you. A kind word from the cashier, a stranger offering connection, even an unexpected opportunity. Tiny choices of frequency ripple outward in ways you cannot predict. Or consider an argument. Most people broadcast defensiveness, anger, the need to be right, and the field echoes it back with more conflict, more division, more disconnection. But what happens if, in that moment, you flip the dial? If you broadcast listening, compassion, openness, the conversation shifts, the other person softens, resolution appears where it seemed impossible. Not because you forced it, but because you changed the frequency you were transmitting. Do you see? The frequency secret is not a theory for someday. It is the mechanism of every moment. The field is always listening. The universe is always responding. And you are always broadcasting. The only question is, are you choosing consciously or are you repeating unconsciously? And here's the most powerful truth. You cannot fake frequency. The field does not respond to words, it responds to energy. You cannot say, "I am abundant," while secretly broadcasting fear and expect the universe to echo abundance. You cannot say, "I am loved," while radiating unworthiness and expect the field to deliver devotion. Words are surface, frequency is core, and reality reads the core every time. So the work is not to speak affirmations until you are blue in the face. The work is to feel them, to embody them, to live them before they manifest. The work is to become the frequency, not just repeat the words. And when you do, the field reorganizes with precision that feels like magic, but is nothing more than resonance. Now breathe into this. What you desire is already vibrating. Abundance has a frequency. Love has a frequency. Health has a frequency. Purpose has a frequency. They are not distant. They are here, humming in the field, and when you tune to them, they collapse into your reality. You don't need to chase them, you need to match them. And when you do, the story rewrites itself with inevitability. So tonight, when you close your eyes, imagine tuning your entire being like an instrument. Imagine adjusting the strings of your thoughts, the rhythm of your emotions, the tone of your beliefs until they hum in harmony with the life you desire. Imagine aligning yourself so fully with the frequency of abundance, love, health, and purpose that you can feel it vibrating through your body before anything changes externally. And trust this, once the frequency is embodied, the external cannot resist. It must follow. It always does. And as you drift to sleep in that vibration, the field begins to rearrange. People are moved into position, opportunities are set in motion, resources are aligned. What looks like stillness is actually preparation. And when you wake, the rewriting has already begun. So do not ask, when will it happen? Ask instead, what am I broadcasting now? Because the answer to that question is the answer to every other question. Imagine a man named Daniel. For years, he carried the frequency of failure without realizing it. Every morning he woke with the thought, nothing ever works out for me. Every bill he received confirmed it. Every relationship that fell apart echoed it. But one day Daniel heard a whisper inside, what if it's not life? What if it's me? For the first time he questioned the signal. That day, instead of repeating the story of defeat, he tried something different. He sat quietly, closed his eyes, and imagined what it would feel like to succeed. Not the details, just the feeling. He let the sensation of victory rise in his body. He let gratitude for a future that hadn't happened yet flood his chest. For a few minutes, he broadcast something new. And then, something shifted. The world did not transform instantly, but a call came from an old friend offering a new opportunity. A chance encounter led to a small win. The static of failure began to weaken, replaced by notes of possibility. Each time Daniel chose to feel gratitude, each time he embodied success before it appeared, the field amplified it. And within months, his entire story was different. He was no longer the man who always failed. He was the man who attracted victories, not because life suddenly liked him, but because he finally flipped the frequency. Now imagine Sarah. She longed for love but lived in the frequency of loneliness. She would say, I just want someone to love me. But beneath her words, her vibration whispered, I am unworthy, I am alone. And the field, faithful as always, echoed back rejection, heartbreak, and silence. But then Sarah discovered the truth. Love is not something you find. It is something you broadcast. She decided to change. She began to wake each morning and wrap herself in the feeling of love, as if it was already hers. She treated herself with tenderness, spoke to herself with kindness, lived as if love was her natural state. And then the magic unfolded. People began to notice her differently. Conversations felt lighter. She was invited into spaces she had never been welcomed before. And one day, without searching, she met someone who matched the love she had been broadcasting. But the truth is, the relationship was not the miracle. The miracle was the shift, because Sarah had already become love before anyone arrived. And that is why the field had no choice but to bring her more of it. Or picture Michael battling illness for years. His frequency was fear. Every symptom amplified it. Every doctor's report strengthened it. He carried the story of sickness, and the field echoed it with precision. But then, exhausted, Michael tried something new. He began to broadcast peace even in pain. He began to embody gratitude even in weakness. He imagined his body humming with vitality, not someday, but now. And slowly, the field responded. His body began to heal, not overnight, but steadily, faithfully, in alignment with the new signal. Today, Michael lives not as the man defined by illness, but as the man who remembered the frequency of health. These are not fantasies. These are echoes of the law of resonance. And if they can shift, so can you. Because the secret is not hidden in them. It is alive in you. But let's go deeper still. Imagine that your life is a movie. Every scene, every character, every twist of the plot is projected onto the screen of your reality. Most people think the movie is written outside of them. They sit in the theater seat, watching, reacting, complaining about the story. They do not realize they are holding the projector. The reel that spins is their frequency. The images that appear are the reflections of their broadcast. And the moment they change the reel, the movie changes instantly. So ask yourself, what movie have you been projecting? Has it been the tragedy of lack, the drama of loneliness, the horror of sickness, the endless loop of purposeless days? And what happens when you switch the reel? What happens when you broadcast abundance, love, vitality, and destiny instead? The screen must change. The characters must shift. The story must rewrite itself, because the projector determines the movie. Always. This is why you are hearing these words right now, because somewhere inside, you are ready to flip the reel. You are ready to broadcast a new story. And the moment you do, reality cannot resist. It must follow. Now let me tell you another story. There was once a village where everyone believed the world was hostile. They lived in fear, suspicious of strangers, worried about scarcity. Their collective broadcast was survival. And so, life mirrored it. Crops failed, storms destroyed homes, conflicts erupted constantly. But in that village, there was one person who dared to broadcast differently. She chose to wake each day in gratitude, to treat others with kindness, to embody trust in the field. At first, nothing changed. She was mocked, doubted, dismissed. But slowly, something began to happen. Crops near her home thrived. People near her felt calmer. Conflicts softened in her presence. Her frequency was rewriting not just her life, but the lives of those around her. And soon the entire village began to shift. That's the dark secret most gurus never tell you. They give you rituals, affirmations, vision boards. They give you strategies to make the outer life look different. But unless the inner broadcast changes, the outer remains the same. You can pin pictures of mansions to your wall, but if your frequency hums with lack, the field will echo scarcity. You can write, "I am loved" 100 times in a journal, but if your frequency vibrates with loneliness, the field will echo rejection. You can fast, diet, and take every supplement, but if your frequency radiates fear of sickness, your cells will obey the broadcast of illness. And here comes the hook. You cannot fake frequency. You cannot trick the field. You cannot outsmart resonance. The universe always responds to the real signal, not the mask. So here is the terrifyingly liberating truth. If you want to change your life, you must become the frequency first. Not act as if, not pretend for 5 minutes, not perform a ritual once a week. You must embody it so fully that the old frequency dies in your body. And when that death happens, the rebirth is inevitable. This is why the process feels like a breakdown before it feels like a breakthrough. Because the old frequency doesn't leave quietly. It fights, it clings, it seduces you back with familiar doubts, with old triggers, with convenient excuses. It whispers, "See, nothing's changing. See, it doesn't work. See, you're still the same." But that's the test. That's the final guardian at the gate. And if you hold the new frequency through the storm, the collapse happens. And when it happens, reality bends so fast it feels like you've entered another world overnight. Now let me paint a picture for you. Imagine standing at a doorway. Behind the door is the life you dream of, the wealth, the love, the health, the purpose. You can feel it humming behind the wood, like music muffled on the other side. You reach for the handle, but your hand trembles, because the handle only turns when your frequency matches the vibration of what's behind it. And if you try to force it, it won't budge. If you try to beg it, it won't move. The only way the door opens is when you become the same song. So the question is not, how do I get in? The question is, what frequency must I become so that the door opens by itself? And here's the shocking truth. The door isn't locked. It never was. You've been locked. Your vibration has been out of tune. And the moment you match the music behind the door, it swings open without resistance. Now let's go deeper, because there is another law most people never hear about. The law of coherence. In quantum physics, when two frequencies meet, one of three things happens. Either they cancel each other out, they create chaos, or if they are close enough, they synchronize. They fall into coherence. This is why one candle can ignite 1,000. This is why one clear frequency can overpower a room full of static. This is why when you enter a space with someone who is deeply aligned, you feel calmer without knowing why. And this is the hidden power of your broadcast. When you hold a frequency long enough, the field doesn't just echo it, it synchronizes with it. Reality begins to align, chaos begins to fall into order, and suddenly what looked impossible becomes inevitable. Now pause. Imagine what would happen if you became so coherent, so unwavering in your broadcast, that the entire field of your life had no choice but to fall into harmony with it. Money aligning without effort, love flowing without chase, health returning without struggle, purpose unfolding without searching. That's not fantasy. That's the science of coherence. But here's the twist that most people miss. Coherence requires surrender. The moment you grip, you create static. The moment you check for proof, you create interference. The moment you beg for a sign, you collapse the wave into the old story. Coherence is not about control, it is about trust. It is about living the new frequency so fully that you no longer need proof. And the paradox is this: when you stop looking for proof, the proof arrives. So what does this mean for you right now? It means the game is no longer about doing more. It is no longer about chasing harder. It is no longer about waiting longer. The game is about becoming the broadcast, breathing the new frequency, living as though it is already here until the field has no choice but to synchronize with you. And if you doubt this, look at your own past. Remember a time when everything suddenly clicked. Remember when a series of coincidences seemed too perfect to be random. Remember when an opportunity arrived just as you needed it. That was not luck. That was coherence. That was the field aligning with a frequency you accidentally broadcast clearly. The only difference now is you will do it on purpose. So let me provoke you with this question. If the entire script of your life is being written by the signal you carry, then why are you still broadcasting the story you don't want? Why are you humming scarcity when you crave abundance? Why are you radiating loneliness when you long for love? Why are you pulsing fear when you desire freedom? Because here's the truth that should shake you awake. Every second you spend broadcasting the old frequency is a second you are choosing the old life. And the universe is too precise to override your choice. But the flip side is just as powerful. The second you choose the new frequency, the rewriting begins. The second you embody abundance, wealth begins to appear. The second you radiate love, connection begins to flow. The second you pulse vitality, healing begins to unfold. The second you hum with purpose, opportunities align to carry you. It does not take years. It takes choice. One pure, unshakable choice. So here is my challenge to you. Tonight, before you close your eyes, declare your new frequency. Not in words, but in vibration. Feel it. Embody it. Let it flood your body until every cell hums with the song of your new life. And when you wake tomorrow, walk as that frequency. Breathe as that frequency. Speak as that frequency. Live as that frequency. And refuse to touch the old broadcast ever again. If you do, your reality will have no choice. It will collapse into coherence. The old story will dissolve. The new story will write itself. And the life you've been waiting for will no longer be waiting. It will be here.